Welcome, everyone, to Purpose Earth. I am your host, Lila June, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. Purpose Earth is a global initiative to raise funds and spirits. We're raising funds for the Purpose Earth Fund, which will support programs in critical times of their development, which are working to create health and justice within the human and earth community. We are so grateful that you are here, and we have an incredible lineup for you. We have Sergio Gomez, an artist which weaves community into everything he does. We have DJ Taj Rashid. We have Laura Rose. We have performances from Bella Gaia. We have Shie Bastida, an Indigenous climate activist. And we have Fred Call, a glass blower doing incredible things, and so much more. We have an incredible lineup that we're so excited to bring you. And we called it Purpose Earth because we are all here searching to find our purpose. And I know that for me personally, when I was younger, I really didn't have a purpose. And these were some of the most sorrowful times of my life. And then once I did find my purpose at age 20, I'm 30 now, and realizing that it was to serve Creator and serve humanity, a fire was ignited in my heart and the world became alive again. We are hoping and praying that this lineup and this artistic offering that we have prepared for you all will help to ignite that purpose within you, or if you already feel that purpose burning, that it can fan those flames so that we can continue to have the motivation and joy and excitement needed to bring our Mother Earth back into harmony. So, speaking of purpose, we created this lineup before Black Lives Matter ignited in a way that more and more people could see. And so we really wanted to honor this moment that we are all in. We're in a moment of incredible uprising where racial inequity is becoming more visible where it wasn't before. And for those of us, people of color, we've been eating, sleeping, and breathing racial inequity. And we know it very well. And yet it's being illuminated to others for the first time. We are so grateful then that we will actually start off this entire program with Amber Starks, who is a Muskogee Indigenous woman and also African American. And we wanted to share her message, simply to pay homage to the Black Lives Matter movement that we find ourselves in, and to not operate within a vacuum, but to be sensitive to the times, sensitive to the moment, and understanding that we are in a beautiful time where things are being revealed. And I'm so grateful that Amber is going to start off this program before we delve into the artistic offerings we have, because it is long past time that the world listens to the voices of Black leaders. And we're so honored that she would start us off with this beautiful speech, which is educational, inspiring, and engaging. So before we do anything else within this program, let us pay homage to the Black Lives Matter movement and honor her beautiful voice and leadership in this time. And in prayer, that all will feel equality and health and justice in the coming days, months, years, decades, so that we can be true to the fact that we are one interdependent system. Thank you.
Hesche, hi there. My name is Amber. I am Black and Native, so I am enrolled as a Muskogee Creek citizen, but I'm also of Shawnee, Yuchi, Quapaw, and Cherokee descent. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. Thank you for giving me the platform to speak to things that are really important to me, things that I'm actively talking about and working towards in my daily life. The first thing I want to speak to is the Black Lives Matter movement. So I know that we have been inundated with what's going on, not just here in the US, but globally, and how this movement that was localized has now started to bring up all sorts of issues around oppression around the world for Black folks and for all Black, Brown, and Indigenous people of color. So When I say Black Lives Matter, I'm speaking to Black liberation. And for me, Black liberation isn't a static idea or a static movement. It has been occurring since my ancestors were put on slave ships and sent to the Americas to be chattel. For me, Black liberation and the Black Lives Matter movement is about us saying Black people deserve to be seen. It's about saying Black people deserve to be valued. It's also saying that Black people's humanity should be realized. And so when we talk about Black Lives Matter, it's not just about protests. It's not just about, people being angry and holding their fists up. This is about Black folks and allies of Black folks being proactive about our own liberation. I think if we are intentional, we can use things like the Black Lives Matter movement and Black liberation as a way to inform us about how we want to see the liberation and the sovereignty of Black, Brown, Indigenous people of color globally. Because Black Lives Matter and Black liberation are about the dismantling of white supremacy, settler colonialism, and also of predatory, racist, extractive, narcissistic capitalism. You see, Black, Brown, Indigenous, and other people of color have been seen as utility, product, and commodity of settler states and empires for a very long time. So I think that in seeing the Black Lives Matter movement spread globally, we're also seeing a realization that Black, Brown, and Indigenous people are ready to unite and work together to dismantle these oppressive systems. So I genuinely believe that we can live in a post-colonial world. I have hope, and I am being proactive about how we get there. Some of the ways that I think we can get there, some of the things that I think we will need to do. First, I think that we will have to dismantle the idea of white supremacy. White supremacy, to me, is an ideology that's false. It's not the default. It doesn't hold weight. It is not a real thing. It is not natural. So I think for those of you who carry the currency of whiteness, you have to realize that it only exists under the system of white supremacy. And I think that in order to move forward, you'll have to be willing to relinquish any status or any gains under a white supremacist system. I think for the rest of us who don't hold the currency of whiteness, I think we have to be proactive about dismantling anti-Blackness and Afrophobia that exists around the world. I think it also will require us to acknowledge Indigenous sovereignty and the right to Indigenous people to reclaim and to resteward the lands that have been taken from them, from settler states and from empires. So I want to challenge us and encourage us to start thinking post-colonial. I want us to see the Black Lives Matter movement as both a local, direct movement of abolition, but also as a global movement to dismantle settler colonialism and white supremacy. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you for listening.
born in motion. After 9 months unfurling to our mother's heartbeat, cells multiplied into systems, building bones and brains and blood, pulses synced, composing spines, formulating feet. Then something happened. As we learned to balance on our own 2 feet, we learned there was a right way and a wrong way to move them. We learned there were rules to being human. We learned to speak when it was our turn, walk in single file lines, squeeze our wild into business suits and pretend that we feel fine. We stopped listening to the humming of our veins, signed off from the senses that shake us awake, and we chose screens over flesh, minds swept up in a fury of distraction. We forgot that every time we breathe, I inhale part of you and exhale part of me. We forgot that we all share the same pulse. We forgot there is another way, and that we've known it since that tiny cluster of cells turned into the first kick in our mother's womb. See, we've got a direct line of communication to the rhythm living in the space beneath our minds, the one that beats our hearts in time. Part of us has always known how to dance. And when we do, we remember that the user's manual we picked up on the way to this planet is in our guts. Rhythm will rewire our lives if we let it. If we return to the dance floor, rediscover the beat that goes straight to our bones, stomp our feet until sweat falls in our eyes and we're moving too quick for society's grip to hold us back. What if we could rise up from where we're rooted, meet each other like a long-lost harmony, dance as if we shared the same 5 senses, as if our feet were planted on the same small planet, our veins running the same red blood. We'd forget why we ever stopped listening. We'd forget why we fought ourselves in the first place. We'd forget why we fight each other. We'd forget all the made-up lessons we learned along the way because we didn't have to go to school for this. This is who we are. This is what we're made of. This is why we came here. We came to dance.
Hi, my name's Kenji Williams. I'm the founder and director of Gaia, Beautiful Earth. We're going to share with you a short 10-minute live stream with our amazing singer, Kristen Hoffman, who tours with us with Gaia, which is normally an 80-minute touring live show with dancers and multiple musicians performing for thousands of people. And obviously things got canceled, and we are very honored to be part of Purpose Earth and to share this live stream clip with you, and for Kristen to be sharing her beautiful voice with us today. I want to say a few words about how Gaia started, and also within the context of the pandemic that we're in. One of the biggest takeaways for me is that look what we have been able to do when something affects us personally. We have been able to stop the world, the great pause. This is an incredible individual action at scale. Billions of people around the world change their behavior because something affects us personally. Now, this is an incredibly valuable point with Gaia, because this is the essence of Gaia's language and mission, is to translate abstract things like climate change or complex interconnected systems of the earth, and communicate them in personal ways, to make them personal, to make them emotionally intelligent. And so this is the language of Gaia. This is what we do. And so over the years, we have developed this method of really speaking to the right brain and the left brain, the whole brain, and we are able to transform people who experience Gaia. I'm so honored to be part of Unity Earth and Purpose Earth, and to be part of this live stream. So thank you all so much. Take care.
The first day or so, we all pointed to our countries. The third or fourth day, we were pointing to our continents. by the 5th day, we were aware of only one Earth.
I'm Claudia Wells, chairman of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, board member of Space for Humanity, and a huge fellow Gaia fan. If someone had asked me before the flight, are you going to get carried away looking at Earth from the moon? I would have said, no, no way. But when I looked back at Earth, standing on the moon, I cried. Those were the words of Apollo 14 astronaut Alan Shepard in 1971. Out of 7.8 billion people, fewer than 600 have experienced what's come to be known as the overview effect, a term meant to signify the transformational experience of awe and the sense of oneness it conveys that most astronauts feel as a result of their first-hand witnessing of our beautiful, fragile bubble of life floating in the vastness of space. Alan Shepard's lunar module pilot and sixth man to walk on the moon, Captain Edgar Mitchell, was also gazing at Earth through 240,000 miles of space when he had what he described as a sudden explosion of awareness, a profound sense of interconnectedness accompanied by ecstasy, an epiphany. His direct sense of oneness expanded his perception not only of life on Earth, but of himself, of humanity, and of humanity's potential. And he suddenly knew it was essential to our collective survival that we realize who we really are and why we're really here. He later said, "You develop an instant global consciousness in space, a dissatisfaction with the way the world is." He felt much of the crew of Spaceship Earth had become mutinous, and he felt compelled to do something about it. For him, it was creating the Institute of Noetic Sciences, or IONS, to focus the analytical lens of science on the mystical experience, to reveal the true interconnected nature of reality for the benefit of all life on Earth and beyond. Because Edgar's sense of oneness wasn't just about Earth. It included the entire universe, which he experienced as loving, intelligent, and harmonious, as home. Astronaut Mae Jemison, the first Black woman to travel into space, had the experience that while most astronauts came home reporting feelings of deeper heart connections with Earth, she came home feeling that connection with everything. Edgar knew his direct experience of unity signaled a new wave of evolution in human consciousness. More and more of us will be going to space, but we don't need to have the same epiphany, which is important because at least initially access to space won't be equally distributed, which is why IONS is working to democratize access to the overview effect through virtual reality. But most important is the realization that the transformational power of awe is available in the luminous experiences of everyday life, in a starry sky, a blade of grass, a conscious breath, a random act of kindness. What if we allowed the power of awe in, right here, where we stand, right now, in this moment? Might it help bring to humanity the urgent realization that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us? The overview effect suggests the answer is yes. Thank you.
Hello, Emmanuel Kunzelman back with you here, and we've just enjoyed those beautiful images from Bella Gaia, the overview effect, the epiphany of that we are all one with human consciousness. Here with me to share some thoughts about what that epiphany, what that view really means in terms of our understanding of the universe is Dr. Jude Currivan, cosmologist, co-founder of Whole World View, and author of The Cosmic Hologram. Thank you, Jude, for joining us here today. It's really a pleasure and honor to have you on Purpose Earth, and just like to get your thoughts about what this conjures up in you as far as what we can say about the meaning of our cosmos.
Well, thank you, Emmanuel. It's wonderful to be with you all today. Well, 13.8 billion years ago, our universe came into being, not as a great thing, but as ancient wisdom and spiritual insights, and now leading edge science is telling us, and as Bella Gaia is showing so beautifully as the overview effect is, it came into being as a great thought in the mind of the cosmos. So mind and consciousness aren't something we have. They're literally what we and the whole world are. Meaningful, informational reality is the wondrous appearance of our universe of energy and matter and space and time. And a universe not born in the apparent chaos of a big bang, but it wasn't big and it wasn't a bang, but as the first moment of an exquisitely ordered and fine-tuned and ongoing big breath. So the latest science is showing that our universe exists and evolves as a unified whole, and that everything has meaning. Our universe literally exists to evolve from simplicity to complexity, from primordial hydrogen to planets and plants and people.
Well, thank you for that. I love the idea of a grand out breath. I'm just wondering if that breath, maybe we could say, was the breath of consciousness, that perhaps consciousness is the fundamental source of our universe, and that it breathed out. It makes more sense to me that consciousness could perhaps inform, create a material world rather than the other way around. Seems rather complicated that you and I having this discussion came out of a materialistic paradigm. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, utterly agree. In fact, consciousness and mind is the fundamental stuff of our universe. The appearance of energy, matter, and space-time emerge and are truly informed by consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And then, so, okay, if we've got consciousness as fundamental and primary, then maybe we could take this one step further, looking a little bit at string theory. The idea is that the real essence of all particles of the universe are these tiny, tiny microscopic strings that are equivalent to strings on a violin or something, and that they vibrate, and that gives all particles, all essence, all of their qualities, maybe the original vibration that we've heard so much about in wisdom traditions, the primordial Om. Maybe that was the breath that vibrated the strings that played the song of the universe, and we're all in this together as one big orchestra singing a universal hymn. Am I waxing too poetic, or can you go along with that?
I'll go along with that completely. I mean, regardless of whether string theory is shown to be correct, we know that all energy and matter are indeed in vibration. And we also know that for the first 400,000 years of our universe, it wasn't transparent to light, but it was to sound. So the ancient concept of the Om literally was the primordial sound pulsing through our universe and conducting the first matter into clusters that would eventually form stars and galaxies and us.
Well, okay, so we've got the universal song singing in our hearts here. And I think this understanding of this music of our souls, this connectedness to that original out breath, gives us an inkling of how we are all interconnected and closer, hopefully, to our dear Mother Gaia, our birthplace here, because the materialistic paradigm has given us this sense of separation, such that Earth is something, a commodity to be exploited. But I think this song of the universe and us, the evolutionary output of consciousness, helps us to feel that interconnectedness. How do you feel about that?
Completely. And I'd even go a step further to say it's not just interconnected, but ultimately one. Our universe exists and evolves as a unified whole, but it's not uniformity. It's not unity and uniformity. It's unity in radical diversity. Literally, our universe embodies an evolutionary impulse to evolve from simplicity to complexity, and all the beautiful complexity we see embodied and expressed with our beloved Gaia. And each of us, there are 8 billion people living today. Each and every one of us is unique, and yet we're all family. Every leaf on every tree is unique, and yet part of that tree, part of that ecosystem, part of Gaia's life. So yes, ultimately whole and one, and also expressed in amazing and wondrous diversity.
Well, thank you. A big yes to that too. What a beautiful vision of the unity and diversity. Thank you, Dr. Jude Curvan, for joining us today with your cosmological insight on this. It's a true pleasure to have you on Purpose Earth, and thank you for giving us your vision of consciousness as one. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you so much.
Blessings. Thank you, and stay with us. We've got more to come.
Listen to know, know to do, do to progress, progress to arrive, arrive to find, find to lose, lose yourself. Listen to know, know to do, do to progress, progress to arrive, arrive to find, find to lose, lose yourself. Lose yourself to be found, let yourself be found by yourself. Find yourself again to know yourself to love and love to be loved. Lose yourself to be found, let yourself be found by yourself. Find yourself again to know yourself to love and love to be loved. Then everything will become clear. Everything will become clear. Everything will become clear. Listen to know, know to do, do to progress, progress to arrive, arrive to find, find to lose, lose yourself. Lose yourself to be found, let yourself be found by yourself. Find yourself again to know yourself to love, love to be loved. Then everything will become clear. Everything will become clear. Everything.
Thank you all for being here on Purpose Earth. We hope you are enjoying yourselves. My name is Lila June, and I am your host. So as you can see, we're talking a lot about the macrocosm, and that is how we have framed this entire event. We started out with the macrocosm, we delve in later to the microcosm, and then we go into more participatory activities so that we can bring all of this ideas of holistic collectivity and bring it out into the world as tangible action. We really want this event to not just be intellectual, but to truly help those around us, because as we all know, our world is in need of a lot of love right now. And we're happy to be a part of giving that love to the world with all of you today. So I want to also encourage you to check the chat in all the various places where this is being streamed, because we're giving you a few different activities you can engage in. We know that joining each other live is nowhere near as wonderful as joining each other in person. And so we've done our best to create an interactive and participatory experience out of all of this. So please check the chat, and we have different things you can do in concert with all of these offerings so that you can really be a part of this with us as an experience. We're so grateful that you are here, and we want to welcome those who are just joining. And we have an incredible, more 2 hours or more left for you. So we hope you'll stay with us and continue to enjoy this macrocosmic view. And when I come back to carry us through to the next section, I'll give a little overview of how we want to bring this macrocosmic understanding of being holistic and bring it into our everyday lives in the form of social justice and environmental stewardship. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope you continue to enjoy the program.
I am an 18-year-old climate justice activist. I am originally from Mexico, and I have lived in New York City for the past 5 years. I have been a climate justice activist at a level of international talks and community organizing for 1 year. But I realized that I came into the climate space with a different perspective than most of my peers. I came into this movement with a climate philosophy of Indigenous reciprocity. My dad raised me with the Indigenous knowledge of we take care of the earth because the earth takes care of us. My dad raised me with the philosophy of we live with the earth and not from the earth. Growing up with this awareness of our interconnectedness made me realize that everybody in the world did not live the way in which I did. Growing up, you think that everybody thinks the same way that you do. I thought everybody loved the world as much as I did, but I realized that there is a lack of connection that is going around us. I realized that people were actually polluting the environment, were harming our ecosystems, and were extracting natural resources. And when I saw this, that is when I started to speak up. I started to speak up about the importance of including Indigenous philosophy in climate negotiations, the importance of including Indigenous philosophy in not only our everyday life, but also in our organizing with others. Because Indigenous philosophy is also about regenerative culture. It's about checking in with each other. It's about checking in with Mother Earth. It's about knowing how our actions are gonna connect us further with the Great Spirit. So I am really grateful that I was able to be raised with this philosophy, and I'm grateful to share it with you. Because in Indigenous culture, we don't inherit the land from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And that saying is central to the message that we're bringing. We are saying that we need to take care of Mother Earth, not only because it has been taken care of before, but because there's future generations that need this planet to be healthy. All that Indigenous culture is asking for is for us to be aware that we don't have infinite resources, that we need to live in balance, and that we need to strive for a unification process that is going to ultimately make humanity stronger.
Consider all that exists, from subatomic structures on up to galaxies and the universe itself. Everything is built from fractal, repeating forms, scaling sacred geometries that transmit and channel energy amongst all existence. My glass sculptures reflect those structures, and when light shines through and reflects off of them, they become magical lenses that generate lumia, organic patterns of refracted light invoking cosmic consciousness.
My name is Fred Kahl. I'm an artist, designer, magician, sword swallower, yogi, and inventor. The work I've been doing the last couple years with glass and light is an exploration of consciousness. It's informed by yogic philosophy, meditation, tantra, earth medicines, and science. You know, I started practicing yoga in the 1990s with a simple goal. I wanted to teach myself to swallow a sword. But what it's taught me is so much more profound. I've come to realize that we are all manifestations of the divine, and that our bodies are literally antennas to receive consciousness from the universe.
In the last decade, I've focused on bridging the divide between our digital and physical lives. The glass sculptures I've been making are designed in a computer. Graphite molds are carved by a CNC robot before the glass is cast and assembled by hand at a furnace using techniques that go back over 1,000 years. The result is the apsaras, a series of sacred geometric glass forms. As I delved deeper into understanding the significance of the work I was making, I realized how disillusioned I'd become about digital culture's effects on society. This began to frame my vision for this work as spiritual, meditational objects. I've come to believe in non-duality, that everything is a manifestation of God, that the universe resonates with pure consciousness received by all living things. The nature of the mind is to create the ego self. It gives the illusion of separation from others and prioritizes selfishness over selflessness. The coronavirus pandemic has been a wake-up call to the planet that we're out of touch with nature. Right now, we are all in the chrysalis, digesting ourselves, poised for transformation, if we can let go of old ways of being and embrace new paradigms. This is the moment. Humanity must transform in order for life on the planet to survive.
Dreams, with bare feet he chasing. His father no mason, no rich fam to grace him. But these dreams, premonitions he facing, is his mind just fading, or is destiny gonna make his dream? And these same palms that have been keeping my people in rhythm and tune was brought to New York City to shine its streets paved with gold. Most fight fire with fire, but we have always battled the enemy with love. Peace, y'all. Thanks.
Hello, and thank you again for being with us here on Purpose Earth. I'm your host, Lila June. This has been an incredible time with all of these beautiful artists, and I'm so grateful I get to be a part of this with all of you. So as you can see, we've taken a very zoomed out perspective of the Earth. We've heard from Bella Gaia, who takes NASA data-informed artistic practice to teach how we're all connected. We've heard about the overview effect of how astronauts can view the Earth from space and suddenly realize they are part of one interconnected system. And now we're actually going to zoom in to the microcosm. We're going to hear from a lot of grassroots leaders. We're going to hear from a lot of young people. People who are working to not only understand this from space, but understand it with every step we take here on Mother Earth. We've been given this extraordinary human experience, which is painful, challenging, scary, and yet our ancestors for thousands and thousands of years have taken on this challenge. And over the millennia, we have tried to bring love into the face of hatred. We have tried to bring justice where there was none. And we have tried to continue to create a world that is socially just and where our Mother Earth is respected as the living, breathing being that she is. So now we're going to not only understand that we are of one holistic system from an intellectual standpoint, but see how people are actually embodying this truth and working together right here on the Earth's surface. I come from the Dene Nation. We are also incorrectly known as Navajo. And one of the words we have for human being is Nahoka Dien Dene. And what that means is holy earth surface being. We understood that each and every human was sacred. We understood that it was a sacred and huge honor to be living on this earth surface. And we understood that we are but one being among many beings. And even the word Dene doesn't really have a certain tribal or racial affiliation. It simply means human. And so all of the people that we're about to see are trying to not only understand this holistic nature intellectually, but to embody it by thinking outside of ourselves, by thinking about things beyond our own kinship, our own race, our own class, and really bringing this love out into the open. So we're very grateful, and stick around and get your teapots ready, because once we finish the microcosmic level, we will be engaging in more participatory action, which includes a tea ceremony. So we're very grateful for all of you here, and we hope you will enjoy the next segment. Thank you.
Listen, my hands are up. Listen, all I was carrying was Skittles. Listen, I called for my mom. Listen, I was only jogging. Listen, I can't breathe. Despite what the media may report, despite the burning buildings you may see, or the displays of anger that stems from hundreds of years of fear, pain, and oppression, if you would listen more closely, you could hear us asking for peace, asking to be heard, asking to be seen as humans. Do you care more about a burning building than a Black life in America? The history of mistrust between the Black community and police in America comes from hundreds of years of brutality, disparaging practices, and misuse of power. An arrest being made does not justify a death sentence. What exposed the cracks in America's white picket fence? Was it the pandemic? Because there's been an epidemic of racial disparity for the last 400 years. We peep through the cracks and see that this house is divided. A divided house cannot stand. America is supposed to be the example, but America is in pain. So what example are we setting? We are asking you to stand in solidarity with the Black community as we cry out for justice. This is not an attack of the individual. This is a charge against the criminal justice system as an institution. We see the biases and we demand reform. We are tired of the gun violence. We are tired of seeing the police as a threat. We are tired of being seen as a threat. Listen to the rain. It's raining in Louisville, Kentucky, where plainclothes police shot Breonna Taylor in her own home while she was sleeping. It's raining in Glenn County, Georgia, where Ahmaud Arbery was not allowed in this country to jog in peace. It's raining in Tallahassee, Florida, where Tony McDade, a Black trans man, was shot and killed by police. It's raining in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a police officer pressed his knee into George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I hail from Baltimore, where Freddie Gray died from the injuries he sustained while in police custody. It's storming all over the world because there are countless others that have gone unnamed. Our calls for justice and peace in America have not fallen on deaf ears. There are demonstrations around the world by people who stand with the Black Lives Matter movement. And if our calls for justice are truly heard, then we will listen to the rain that justice will take on her throne of righteousness. Listen as the floods of truth wash over all that is unright. Listen as the tears dry up and the cities of this nation all know and practice peace. We hope once more for the American dream to be reimagined, not the nightmare of reality that far too many of the people who look like me have grown to know. We deserve more than to be drowned by a sense of fear when the blue and red flash behind us, when the boys in blue approach us, when we are read our Miranda rights. We should not be wronged. And it's not enough to just say that it's wrong if you're not actively doing what's right. Families are grieving. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Sean Reed, Tony McDade, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, Freddie Gray, Corinne Gaines, Sandra Bland, Eric Gardner. These aren't just hashtags. We say their names to keep them alive. We ask for our allies to listen. We need help, but not to be saved. There are existing grassroots organizations that can be joined and newly established groups forming. Please invest. To the people of all backgrounds and faith, working on the ground, lifting up the voices of others, voting for leaders who have dignity and compassion, investing into groups, education, and mental health care. Thank you for using your voices and platforms for much needed change. This is a multinational effort. We are the hope we wish to see and the dream we wish to be realized. Everyone has a part to play. Your 8 minutes and 46 seconds are up, America. Get your knee off our necks. We can't breathe.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joseph Wilkanowski. I'm an 18-year-old racial justice activist, and I'm part of the Re-Earth Initiative team. Firstly, I'm going to talk to you about intersectionality and how it intertwines racial justice and the many other environmental movements. We know that the people who are most adversely affected by environmental problems are usually those that hold less privilege. Globally, poorer nations that don't have the infrastructure in place to protect themselves against natural disasters are often the worst hit by climate change disastrous effects, but it happens closer to home too. Look at Hurricane Katrina, look at Puerto Rico, look at Flint, Michigan. I saw this in my own work and environment. I've worked at NYU and Langone Hospital in New York City for the past 3 years, and the connection of well-being to privilege was definite. The neighborhoods with low-income families living there were being ignored and were the ones being the most affected by climate change. So I joined the climate movement because of this issue, and that is why people cannot just focus on a single issue. It's possible to look at these issues, ignore the fact that race, poverty, and other elements have to be taken into account, especially when it comes to how issues are dealt with and how motivated people and companies are to change. Intersectionality is vital to environmental activism, because we have to be aware of how the environmental issues affect people across the world, across the identity spectrum, if we want real and solid change. That is why we need you to join this movement. I've been working to connect social justice and climate justice, which is one of the many reasons why I joined the Re-Earth Initiative team. Yet we have to learn to make sure to intertwine the two and to morph all of our personal knowledge into collective force to help solve both issues. So, what should you do? Well, talk to the people that are outside of your circle. Build bridges with people in different movements. Intersectionality is the one way to tackle the issue and to use innovation to create new solutions. Join Re-Earth Initiative and Purpose Earth to create targeted collaboration. Thank you.
I'm interested in dance that relates the human body to the places we inhabit. In ice flow, I was fortunate to have the experience of dancing on Arctic sea ice. The footage was shot during a residency I had aboard the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Healy for a polar science mission to the Chukchi Sea. The costume was hand-painted to depict pack ice in the same region where I was dancing. The effect is that my motions suggest a time-lapse morphology of ice formation and dissolution.
Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Rose, Volunteer Outreach Director for Purpose Earth and CEO and co-founder of Greenheart International. Since its inception, Greenheart has coordinated the cultural exchange experiences of over 150,000 youth from 85 countries around the globe, while facilitating leadership programs through mentoring and coaching. Many of the young people that you are meeting today are Greenheart alumni. We are so grateful for your presence today.
I want to create positive change because I believe that people are worth it. Through advocacy, we have the power to give voice to the voiceless. Through service, we have the ability to change lives for the better. I'm so grateful to the many mentors that I've had over the years who chose to invest in me. I choose to positively impact others in the same way. In all that I do, I aim to be a source of encouragement and support for others. The world is a better place when positive change flourishes. There are good people everywhere in the world. We must decide to be one of them.
I remember at the age of about 9, I stormed into my bedroom and I started to cry so bitterly and uncontrollably. And my sister, she came in the room, she heard me crying and she came in the room and she said, "Why are you crying?" Because I'm always crying. So she was just frustrated at this time. And I said, "Nobody believes in me." And she wiped my tears and she hugged me and she said, "Then make them believe." And at that age, I learned how to read. I learned how to read because someone inspired me. And today we have so many people living in this world unable to unleash their true potential because they don't have others or they don't have someone to believe in themselves. And so one of my aim is to inspire, impact, and create that change in others to help them believe in themselves and become their best version of themselves.
One of the main reasons that inspired me to create positive changes in my community was that at such a young age, I still have so much to live ahead of me that I wouldn't want to spend that time in a community that doesn't respect the environment. So I knew I had to create some projects to start creating that change. Throughout these projects, I've talked to so many people that I just know there's a lot of people around me that want to help and create positive changes, but they're just waiting for that one person to create a new event, a new project that will make them hop in and help because they're willing to help. In my case, I knew that person had to be me. I couldn't just wait for someone else to start the projects for me, and I was really happy to have the opportunities and the capabilities to start some of these projects and inspire other people to help, because that was the main goal. The main goal is to bring the community together as a whole so that we could create changes together, not just one or two people. As a whole, and inspiring others, we can really create a big changes that will be helpful for us in the future.
We are so grateful to hear from the next generation and to hear from some of the projects that Purpose Earth is funding. We will invite you towards the end of this to donate to the Purpose Earth Fund, but truly we just are so grateful to share this time with you. So as we keep rolling along, welcome to those who are just joining. I'm your host, Lila June, and we are going to keep rolling with the microcosmic level of how we embody the truth that we are one interdependent system. Thank you all for being with us here today, and we hope you continue to enjoy our offerings.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rocky Dawouni. I am a Grammy-nominated musician from Ghana and also United Nations Goodwill Ambassador for Environment for Africa. And my personal foundation, Rocky Dawouni Foundation, also focuses on youth and culture. Right now, the main initiative that I'm focusing on is really to be able to inspire the youth of Africa to embrace and be at the forefront of a green revolution for the continent, because I believe that embracing the green economy is the future of the continent, especially considering what we have been going through, especially dealing with the youth issues of youth migration, COVID-19 currently, and then also youth unemployment. I feel that the youth of Africa being the biggest asset of the continent, considering that Africa is the youngest continent and we also have an abundance of land, being able to harness all of this into a focus on the land and agriculture and biodiversity and preservation of our environment as the future will be the key to economic prosperity. So my work right now is traveling around, being able to engage youth, being able to bring different organizations together to keep nurturing and supporting and inspiring this change. Because the youth will define the world. Africa's youth will define the world. So we need to invest in the youth. And we need to invest in a future too that will be sustainable for the continent. A future that will bring transformative benefits. And I feel that if we embrace the green economy, its benefits, and also the potential for Africa to leapfrog into a new paradigm of development will be ignited. And this will be led by the youth of Africa. So I invite everybody to support me in this quest, to support me in this initiative, and let's all work very hard to live in harmony with nature. Thank you very much.
As a young leader, I have many concerns about world unity in the circumstances that we are in. Now more than ever, solidarity and cooperation are needed. We cannot afford to be divided anymore. Do not be discouraged to speak up against racism, illiteracy, economic injustice, lack of access to healthcare, greedy corporations, First Nations stolen land all over the world, authoritarian regimes, climate change, and the list goes on. But speaking against those issues is not enough. Taking action is how you truly honor those affected by these issues and make change. That is how I want to see the future. I hope you vow to embed advocacy to these issues in your purpose as a human, because I sure will.
I think that every other day is a new opportunity to make a positive change. As Mother Teresa once said, we don't have to do great things. We can do small things with love and a big heart. So I guess if we make a change, even in one person's life, and we support them and help them, we are making a great thing for the globe. Actually, there have been a lot of people in my life who helped me, supported me to see a new way in my life, to see my role in this chain of life. And now I'm honored to be continuing their path and helping some wonderful girls and boys in Georgia in finding themselves, their confidence, their positions in this life.
The purpose projects that I've implemented over the past 6 years reached different remote communities in Georgia. It enabled people coming from underserved communities to gain access to non-formal education by providing a series of trainings, workshops, camps. Also, the aim of my projects were to raise awareness on crucially important issues such as tolerance, diversity, women's reproductive health, gender equality, and so on.
I want to create positive change because I am a beneficiary of the positive change of people in my family, my friends, and my community. Losing my parents at the age of 16, I have received immense support from people all around me, from my education through to after my education. Opportunities have been handed over to me, and people have shaped and groomed me into the woman I am today. I believe that it's time to pay it forward. Every single day, I feel very compelled to make a difference and also impact the lives of others around me, especially the less privileged, as positively as mine has been impacted.
I implemented 3 purpose projects in my community, and all contributed to knowledge and skills. My first purpose project was a community computer training center in 2015. I taught computer classes to little children in Ugandan villages with donated funds that enabled me to obtain used computers and to teach much needed skills to rural community that has little access to formal training. Close to 300 youth, mostly women, have earned themselves certificates in computer literacy. A huge segment of them are now formally employed as office secretaries and ICT experts. Others have been able to start up small businesses where they are now providing secretarial services. My second and third projects were both community resource libraries in 2016 and in 2017 respectively. I trained 120 primary and secondary school going children with writing and study skills. The community library also provided a center for learners to do self-reading, homework, and academic researches. I provided a number of reading materials, including exam question banks for students' revision. While doing this, I noticed that there are many people out there who need us. I now feel very connected to the people whose lives were touched by my projects.
I shot plastic virus at the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic. just as shelter-in-place orders were taking effect in New York City. The costume is made from plastic bags that were accumulated by myself, family, and friends over many years. We all share the blame for this proliferation, and we can all be part of the solution. Plastic pollution is akin to a global pandemic that has contaminated the whole Earth, making ourselves and our planet sick. In the video, I dance in the garbage room and basement of my building, where plastic bags normally go to die. In this case, they spring to life with my movements and suggest viral forms.
How do you transform waste to gold? My purpose project is titled Transforming the Environment, Transforming Lives. My purpose project was hosted in a peasant farming community in the eastern part of Ghana called Esikabu. I went into the community to teach the women and the youth there how to transform the waste they create in their community into beautiful jewelry and baskets and artifacts for sale. Before I went to start the project, the people in the community were familiar with only one livelihood, that is farming, transforming and making cassava dough out of the cassava they produced. But now they have been empowered with a second skill, that is making with their hands jewelry and other artifacts for sale. This has created a lot of excitement and hope, especially for the youth, as they know that they can make something out of them. They can make something for themselves that they once didn't know.
Hi, I'm Rhiannon Catalyst, Creative Director of Purpose Earth, and I'm honored to be here today with Mindahi Bastida of the Center for Earth Ethics and Shie Bastida of Fridays for Future and Re-Earth to speak to us about their unique relationship as two multi-generational climate activists who also happen to be father and daughter. We are so honored to have you here with us today. Thank you for your time and for the incredible, important work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Shie, please tell us a bit about yourself, the work that you're doing with Fridays for Future and Re-Earth, and why you chose to do this work.
Hi everyone, my name is Shie Bastida. I am 18 years old and I'm a climate activist. I have been in the climate activism space at the international level for about a year now. I started about March of 2019 because I saw a lot of the disconnect that was surrounding us. Growing up Indigenous in the Otomi Toltec Indigenous community, you grow up thinking that everybody has the same mindset. And that mindset was that we take care of the earth because the earth takes care of us. It's that kind of reciprocity that I grew up with. And when I saw that the world wasn't acting that way, that's when I started to organize. And I, started getting involved with Fridays for Future to organize youth around the world to go on strike for climate justice. And more recently, I started an organization called Re-Earth Initiative, which connects youth from around the world for climate justice issues.
Amazing. Mindahi, please tell us a bit about the work that you are doing with the Center for Earth Ethics and the message of Toltec wisdom that you're carrying and working to communicate to people at this time.
Yes, my name is Mindahi Bastida from the Otomi Toltec peoples from Central Mexico. And I've been working lately with some indigenous spiritual elders around the protection of sacred sites, but also around the acknowledgement of the spiritual authority of indigenous peoples in regards to the protection of life. Because remember that as indigenous peoples, we are very close to nature and the cosmos. We rely on our ancestral wisdom and traditional ecological knowledge. And that's the very reason that we are very proud that we hold this knowledge how to give care of life. So that's mainly because as a member of the Center for Earth Ethics, we are very proud of working together in this unification process, which means that nature and us, we are the same. And when we say that we honor all our relatives, we are honoring life. We are honoring the 4 directions and the 4 elements of life. And also, we are sure that this philosophy, this way of thinking, is highly needed in this time of crisis, civilizational crisis, not just climate crisis, but also as human beings. And we are here to bring those original instructions, remembering who we are as human beings.
Xie, has your father's work or other guidance in life helped to inspire and form your own work and your own path, purposeful path in life?
Definitely. I would say that the reason why I got so in touch with solutions to the climate crisis is because I saw firsthand the effect that the fossil fuel industry was having on indigenous communities, which comes much faster than the global effect of the climate crisis that we're all going to experience. So the philosophy of indigenous people is something that I've brought into the organizing space. There's this saying in indigenous culture that says, we don't inherit our land from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. And that is the same message that we're displaying in the youth climate movement, saying, don't steal our futures. We need to save not only our planet so we can coexist with it, but we need to return to that balance, because it's not only about generational issues, but it's also about spiritual connection issues that we are dismissing. And that's why indigenous voices are so important in this fight, because it's about harmony, it's about reconnecting with Mother Earth.
Mindahi, what do you think about the impact of the work that Xie and other young climate activists are doing right now? And does this help you to feel hopeful for our future?
For the beginning, let me acknowledge the work that Xie has been doing. I'm very proud of your work and all what you have done. And in our prophecies, it is said that it was going to come the time when children and young generations are going to bring that knowledge, that wisdom that is based in ancestral wisdom. So for me, it's an action. It's more than hope. It's an ongoing action that is changing the way of thinking, this mindset, especially the modern way of thinking, the anthropocentric way of thinking that is killing life. So we need to recover peace and dignity as human beings. More than peace among human beings, we need peace with Mother Earth. We really need it. So that's the reason when I see and these sections that you are carrying, and you are now working on this at the conscious and consciousness level, how we can shift this narrative. It's not just hope, it's happening. And in our prophecies, we are talking about this new dawn. But then the dawn is here because we are in this process of cleansing time. It's not easy, because not just because of the coronavirus, of the COVID, whatever it's called, but this is the attention, the call of attention that Mother Earth and the cosmos is giving us. It's a lesson. It's a lesson to tell that it's saying us, behave. We must behave. We need to remember and bring dignity among us and with other beings. So I'm very proud of you, CJ.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. She, what can others do right now at this moment in time? What actions can people take, small or large, to help to affect our collective ecological future?
I think that, the climate crisis, addressing the climate crisis is not only about making our temperatures drop, because the reason why we're in the climate crisis in the first place is because we have drifted away from coexisting with Mother Earth. And that is something that we have to regain. That is something that we have to learn. We have to unlearn what we have been doing for, the past 500 years. And we have to relearn how to actually hold our values at the core of our actions. And that is why, I'm so inspired every time my dad talks about Indigenous cosmology in global stages. And I've been listening to him since I was like a little kid, because he goes around the world and he tells people, this is why you need to care about Indigenous people. Not only because they are the most affected by the fossil fuel industry, but also because we hold the knowledge to actually overturn what is overcoming humanity right now, which is disconnect, and it's, drifting away from our purpose. Because as my dad once said, our purpose in life is to transcend. What we have to do right now is deepen our own understanding of the climate crisis so that we can become more holistic in our solutions. And in that process, humanity's consciousness is going to mature. And that's why we're here. We're here to help others see that this is the unification process that we need to go through. And all these crises that are happening can be an opportunity for us to mature with them.
Is there anything else that you would like to say to your father, other activists, and other wisdom keepers who have come before you on this path?
I want to say that, a lot of the times I hear youth saying in the youth climate movement that we started the climate movement, the modern climate movement, but we always have to recognize and respect the work that has been going on for not only like 50 years of Earth Day, but thousands of years of Indigenous people connecting and keeping the connection with Mother Earth, because that is an ongoing process, and it's an ongoing struggle, and is ongoing resilience. So we have as youth to respect the work that has been done and not try to start from zero, but actually recollect all the knowledge and the wisdom and put it into practice.
Thank you both so much for sharing your wisdom and your perspectives with us and spending this time with us today and helping us bring the vision of Purpose Earth to life. Thank you for the incredible work that you're doing in the world and that I know you will continue to do, and you are helping to inspire so many, including me. So endless gratitude for that.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And blessings.
Yes, blessings.
And we just heard from Shie Bastida and her father, Mendahi Bastida, who I have the great pleasure of knowing them and working with them at the Center for Earth Ethics. Both beautiful people. And you are all beautiful people. And we're so grateful to be here with you today to enjoy this feast, this buffet of amazing speakers, artists, and wisdom keepers and scientists who are helping us understand what we all once knew as people who are all indigenous to a land, and we're all connected to the earth at one point in our human history. I want to share a poem right now, as I am not only your host, I am also a poet. And so I want to share this poem in light of what we just heard from Mindahi and Shie. So here we go. It is dawn. The sun is rising in the sky, and my grandmother and I are singing prayers to the horizon. This morning, she is teaching me the meaning of Honjon. Although there's no direct translation from Diné-Bizaad, the Navajo language, into English, every living being knows what Honjon means. For Honjon is every drop of rain. It's every leaf on every tree. It's your every eyelash. It is every feather on the bluebird's wing. Honjon is undeniable beauty. And my grandmother knows this well, for she speaks a language that grew out of the desert floors, like red stone arms reaching into the sky and praising creation for all of its brilliance. Honjon is remembering that you are a part of the earth's brilliance. It is remembering that humanity is an expression of the earth's brilliance. And my grandmother knew this well, for she speaks the same language as a Lokajekai snowstorm. She speaks the same language as horse hooves hitting the dirt on birthdays, for she was a midwife and would gallop to the women in labor until she became fluent in the language of suffering mothers, fluent in the language of joyful mothers, fluent in the language of handing a glowing newborn to its creator. Honjon is an experience, but it is not something you can experience on your own, the eagles tell us, as they lock talons in the stratosphere and fall to the earth as one. Honjon is like this, my grandmother says. It is inter-beauty. Us Diné, we know what Honjon means. And each and every one of you, you know what Honjon means. And I believe that deep down inside, we know what Honjon does not mean. Like the days we live in sadness, like the days we live in fear, like the days we live for money, or like the days when I lived for fame, or like the days when the conquistadors came, when they climbed off of their horses and told us they were going to take the mountains. Now, we knew this was not Honjon because we knew you could not own a mountain, but we knew we could make it Honjon once again. So in the 1600s, we took their silver coins and we took their silver swords and we melted them with fire and buffalo hide bellows and recast them into beautiful turquoise and silver jewelry pieces and placed it around their necks. We took the silver helmets straight off of their heads and transformed it into a fearless beauty. We made jewelry. Honjon is like this, my grandmother says. It is the healing of broken hearts. It is the healing of our broken bones. It is the prayer that carried my people through genocide and disease. It is the prayer that will carry us through anything, through global warming, through this global fear that dances thin as illusion, like a shadow in our minds. This morning, my grandmother is teaching me something very important. She is teaching me that sometimes the most elegant way to defeat an army of hatred is to simply sing to it beautiful songs until it falls to its knees and surrenders. It will do this, she says, because it will have finally found a sweeter fire than revenge, a sweeter fire even than greed. It will have found heaven. It will have found Honjon. And so my grandmother is talking to the colors of the sky at dawn. And she is saying, Honjona hasli, Honjona hasli, Honjona hasli, Honjona hasli, which means beauty and joy are restored again. It is dawn, my friends. Let us wake up. The night is over. So that's a poem I wrote to honor not just my grandmother, but all of our grandmothers, all of our elders who carry these cultural and sociological and ecological technologies. I think there's a misconception that everything that happened 1,000 years ago must, by definition, have been less advanced and less sophisticated than what's going on right now today. And I don't think that's true. I think many of the historic civilizations of humanity were actually far more advanced and far more sophisticated than this one. My elders have said that America is a very primitive culture in every way, sociologically, economically, its government system. All of their systems are dysfunctional at best. And so we're grateful to be rebirthing all of these things with you together. And we have many more beautiful things in the lineup today. We're so glad that you're with us. Please check the chat for participatory events. And without further ado, we're going to keep going along with our program. Thank you for joining Purpose Earth.
When all of the colors start to change, and fall, and suddenly it's not the same. I go my own way, you go your own way. I hope we can make a way. These kind of things fade away. I got my own way, you got your own way. They seem to be far away, farther than Rockaway. Wasn't even fighting on the day-to-day, wasn't even tired, so to take a break. Wasn't on the menu, but was on the plate. I ate it and I hate it, I ain't like the taste. Nasty, all good moments about the last week. Keep on coming back to harass me. You good lover, you love like we already blood. I go my own way, you go your own way. I hope we can make a way. These kind of things fade away. I got my own way, you got your own way. They seem to be far away, farther than Rockaway.
Yeah, we are here.
Thank you for joining this event today. In this critical moment in history, this is our opportunity to unite people and planet and Earth and its potential with grassroots groups from around the planet, both individuals and community groups who see a better way forward and who deserve an opportunity to create something truly sustainable and truly just for society everywhere. There are so many people filled with hope, promise, and an ability to make significant change. And this is our opportunity to support them. All of us can do this now through Purpose Earth Fund. Purpose Earth Fund is committed to bringing all of this potential together in a beautiful way that supports and sustains by providing funding to visionaries who need that opportunity to move forward, and by providing mentoring to those individuals and community groups who need assistance in making sure that what they are undertaking makes a difference. In the next segment, you will be meeting more people who have benefited from previous grants and will be learning more about the grants themselves. If you want to learn more yourselves, please go to purposeearth.org, where you can find out how you can be a donor or how you can apply for a grant. Thank you for making this an opportunity for all of us to come together in a way that will pave a more just, sustainable, and environmentally focused future for us all. Thank you for your generosity and your kindness.
Hi everyone, my name is Shia Bastida and I am an 18-year-old climate justice activist working with Re-Earth Initiative. Re-Earth Initiative is something that started on late March of 2020. It started off as a campaign that aimed to bring together people from across the world to commit to different climate pledges for the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Our campaign had a reach of over 300,000 people, which made our organizers really proud of the work that we have done, because we felt that we had an impact even though we couldn't take to the streets. That made us grow into a force of over 250 volunteers from around the world and led us into a path to becoming an organization. We are not an organization yet, but we are doing the work. We are focusing on creating toolkits for people to be informed about water, plastic pollution, racial justice in the climate movement. We translate these toolkits in over 5 different languages to increase accessibility and inclusion, which is one of our core values. We also hold webinars in which we bring experts from around the world to talk to people about what they can actually do in their daily lives in a systemic and individual way to tackle these different issues. Something that I love about Re-Earth Initiative is that we are a team that focuses on using people's skills to improve the climate movement. So this is something that has really worked for us because we feel more inclusive, we feel like a family when we use our differences to make us stronger. If somebody is good at graphic design, we take advantage of that to make our graphics beautiful. If someone is good at editing videos, they are going to offer their skills for us to make our videos appealing. And this is something that I think the climate movement should focus more on. How can we make our passions part of the solution? Something that Re-Earth Initiative was introduced to a little short ago was the Purpose Earth Fund. We really like the Purpose Earth Fund because of their mission of collaboration, which is also one of our own missions. We focus on intergenerational cooperation, intersectional cooperation, intercultural cooperation. And we thought that the Purpose Earth Fund really was going to support our mission in a way that we would feel glad about. And now they are helping us so that we can improve our mission of mentorship. Not only of them mentoring us, but us mentoring other kids around the world. It's also improving our sense of empowerment. Because when you tell kids that you believe in their potential, that you believe in their mission, that is gonna make us wanna do the work even like stronger and farther. So this is something that has really encouraged us to keep going. It has really affirmed that what we're doing is something the right path. We can bring unity across the world without having to think about our differences, because that's what makes us stronger.
Hi, I'm Terry Patton, and I'm here to express my gratitude and also to testify to the power of enlightened philanthropy. This Purpose Earth Fund is a real thing. We were the nonprofit that I founded, A New Republic of the Heart, was one of the first recipients of a seed grant, and it is made possible the publication of a book that's arriving today, and I want to share with you what that is. We're recognizing just how serious this meta crisis is and how the breakdowns are now extreme. And I saw that coming some years ago, and I've been just rededicating myself more and more. At the end of 2018, I recognized that I didn't want to do spiritual teaching. Instead, I really wanted to invite people into a social experiment so that we could break through to a next stage culture, love each other better, more effectively, bless each other, such that together we would be real practitioners doing truly self-transcending inner work, really effective and powerful and innovative outer work, and that our interpersonal connections would be bonds that would empower us to do that at a whole different level. And so we set in motion this social experiment in January 2019. We spent the whole year of 2019 really trying to do that. And we were constantly adjusting and tweaking, and at the end of the year, we terminated it. It was a one-year social experiment. What could we learn? What could we contribute to everybody's efforts to be the change? How could we help in a way, this new field of study, we could call it, of all of us trying to be that next stage culture, next stage human beings together way more effectively than we ever have been before. And we've just, through this Purpose Earth grant, we're putting out a book. The title of it is Being the Change 2019. And it's kind of the story of this living laboratory in social experimentation, and especially the agreements, the practices, the understandings, the kinds of our social practices, but also individual practice as we transformed ourselves, bringing all of that together as a gift to others who are really attempting to do this too.
Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Love upon love upon love, all hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. So let the way of your heart, let the way of your heart, let the way of your heart shine through. So let the way of your heart, let the way of your heart, let the way of your heart shine through. Love upon love upon love, all hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun.
ITP International is delighted to be on the receiving end of a grant by the Global Purpose Movement, sponsored and hosted by Emmanuel Kunzelman. And the area of focus of our grant is on cooperation. We call it the key of cooperation, and key means the life force or the energy that's always available. And in our pilot program, we're focusing on cooperation from the inside, how to prepare ourselves individually to bring forth the best of our values, the best of our resilience, and our capacities to remain grounded and centered in times of stress and duress, and then to participate from that place with others, with the community at large, and with the world. Our pilot study is a guidebook and a training, and we will be inviting those that are interested to be part of this wonderful offering to be a trainer, to be on the receiving end of the guidebook, and then to share humanity's need together for a more peaceful, a more loving, a more sustainable world for all.
All right, everyone. We hope you're enjoying this time with us. Maybe you could throw into the chat where you're joining us from. We're so grateful that we got to see the direct impact that the Purpose Earth Fund is having. If you'd like to donate, you're most welcome to. That information is on the caption of all of our different live streaming platforms. And you can join us in bringing and breathing life into certain projects that are in critical stages of their development, and really financially supporting those that are working to bring this interconnectedness, not just from an intellectual standpoint, but for humanity to truly embody it by bringing forth racial justice, by bringing forth economic stability for communities that are marginalized, by bringing forth environmental stewardship practices that can truly serve our planet right now, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I'm your host, Lila June, and we have just a little bit of time left with you, a little over an hour. And so I want to invite you, because it's coming up in a little bit, to get your teapots ready. We are going to be doing a tea ceremony together as a part of this live stream. We know that we can't be together in person, but we'd like to be as intimate as possible in terms of being together as a community. So we're about to see a time lapse of Sergio Gomez, an incredible artist from Chicago, who works to weave community into all of his art pieces, which I love. I've never heard an artist explicitly say that like that. So I'm really excited to see his stuff here with you. And this coming portion of the live stream will continue to invite you to be participatory with us in this. And I'm so grateful to be here with all of you. And I'll see you here in a little bit. Enjoy.
Thank you to Global Purpose Movement for inviting me to share something with you about love and purpose today. You may hear people asking, where's the love in all of this unrest? I think love is rising and also hidden in plain sight. We're often taught to expect love to only look like pampering, doting, and accepting who we love exactly as they are. Okay, that feels good, but that's not the part that helps us to grow. Looking back, the love that stands out to me was that which requested me to be more, inspired me to come alive. That's the best gift of a loving partner, friend, parent, teacher, coach, or mentor. Isn't the call to bring more of ourselves to life classic love? And how does that connect with finding one's purpose? Purpose is the way we channel the invisible electricity of love and make it visible as light in the world. Purpose is the bridge between one's loving potential and the needs of the community. The more we live with love and purpose, the more light we give to others and illuminate things so people can see what's going on and realize the path forward for themselves. But you can't just go out and find your purpose. Actually, it finds you, but you have to be ready to answer the call. And that's what we're seeing right now with young people. Younger generations had been called lazy and selfish and unmotivated and entitled and lost. But now they're really leading things out in the streets, organizing themselves and giving time and energy and creativity and striving passionately for the sake of justice for our Black brothers and sisters and for equality for everyone and demanding that we do better and build a better world. So clearly they're not selfish and they're not lost and they'll not be without purpose. We can ask ourselves, what do I want out of life? But that won't prepare you to receive your purpose. You have to ask, what does life want out of me?
We are the earth, dreaming itself awake.
Hello, I'm Emmanuel Kunzelman, and I have the honor and pleasure of being with Dr. Irvin Laszlo. Dr. Laszlo is one of the most famous systems theorists, writer of great number of volumes of work, probably more than 90 books and various periodicals that he's edited through time. He's been twice nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, one of the most prolific thinkers and philosophers of our time. Irvin, it's a pleasure to be with you today. Thank you for joining us.
Emmanuel, it's also my pleasure and my honor. I always love to have the conversations with you, sometimes in a cafe late at night, but now we can have it in public. It's a very good thing to do always. I always enjoy it.
Well, likewise. It's such a pleasure to see and speak with you today, Irvin. And yes, it's not a cafe, but we'll practice some social distancing here. So, good enough, huh? All right, so we're going to have a little chat about purpose. This is Purpose Earth, and from an early age, I intuitively believed that the universe is purposeful. I think it came into being on purpose, evolves purposely, and has a purposeful goal it aspires to, part of which might be the likes of you and me having this conversation today on purpose. Of course, our spiritual traditions have recognized this for millennia, but I think the 20th century now gives us a great deal of scientific understanding that lends evidence for a purposeful orientation in our existence, such as quantum mechanics, systems theory, chaos theory, force fields of consciousness, just some of the disciplines that lend some purposeful interpretations of the universe. I personally have been you've been one of my strongest inspirations in life, and I have an inkling that how you feel on all this. But there's also a lot of scientists out there that adhere to the materialistic paradigm of things. So would you care to share some thoughts? Am I going too far on the purposeful nature of the universe? What do you think, Irvin?
You can't go any too far on that. I mean, you have to get to the source, get to the root of the issues. I'd like to start by saying a few words about the importance of seeking purpose. I know you're very dedicated to that, Emmanuel. There are many projects and programs and many contributions to seeking purpose, to finding purpose. I'd just like to say 2 words. I think today, looking for purpose, seeking purpose, is of particularly vital importance. We are in a state of transition. We know we can't stay like we were. We have to find another way. We have to go someplace. And the question is always return. Return where? They say return to a norm. Is that our purpose? Do we find our purpose if we go back to the norm? The question is, what norm? If we had a norm like the pre-pandemic world, that is not a desirable norm, I think, to get back to. It was very inequitable, unsustainable, and crisis-prone. So if we are seeking purpose, we want to know if we find something which is really true to us, which is really fulfills us. This is who we are. We are a seeker, but seeking what? So I think this question of looking for a purpose is a very important one. Now, you started out by saying the purpose could be a cosmic one. I'm very glad to welcome that thought, because I think indeed when we get down to it, we are people, natural beings, we are social beings, we live in a universe, we are part of this universe, and whatever purpose there is in this universe is somehow manifest in us. If we could find the norm behind the universe, find what is really natural, what is correct, what, as the Greek philosopher says, what is the good in there behind it all. I think that would be a tremendous service to the chaos, rudderless times that we have now, where we are seeking something else and we can't quite know what we are seeking. So here, to find our purpose is particularly important. To that, I'd just like to add one thing. Then I'll be happy to follow up your conversation with you. If there is a process in the world which has an element of irreversibility. So it doesn't just go back and forth, but it goes someplace. And if that process is not guided from the outside, but it has an element of self-guidance, let's say, it's a self-reflective process, then I think defining the purpose of that process is to follow how that process evolves. If it evolves in many different ways, is there a paramount direction? Is there a basic direction? Because if we find a direction which is intrinsic to and inherent in a process, then that direction will give us a clue as to what the purpose could be. If there isn't any outside guidance, self-guidance, yes? So I think we have to go back to the question which we started with, finding the norm, because there is a process underway. We are evolving, as you just said, Emmanuel, we are an evolving species. We are part of an evolution. We are part of that. That evolution takes place in the cosmos, takes place in the biosphere, takes place in society. Now we are natural beings and we are social beings. And our purpose must be the purpose which is there in the evolution of the universe, in its physical, biological, psychological evolution. If we can find that, which direction it goes, and it would be a natural norm, then we would go a great step further. Because certainly, just to conclude this thought, the norm that we have, what we had before, seemed to have been not a natural norm. If anything, it was an aberration, something that completely went away from, diverged from a natural system norm. That's why it has all these problems. So if you can find a natural norm, that would be a tremendous service, and our purpose would be then oriented toward what we truly are, a natural beings, social beings. How do we live on this planet as natural and social beings? That is the big question.
Yes, indeed it is. Thank you for your very eloquent thoughts on that. What do you think? Can we get there? Can we find that new norm? Do we have a common value system in the nature of humanity that will reveal itself to us if we seek our inner purpose? How do you feel about the future? Are we going to get there?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Good.
I say this pandemic, this abnormal situation that we had for the past several months is actually a wake-up call. It's an opportunity that we can seize, because we know now that what we had before is not the best of all possible worlds. It could be improved on if the values, if the beliefs that we had before, if those are shaken up as they are shaken up now, if we find that we are truly all in the same boat. And the big question is not who owns this or that, who is richer, who is poorer. The question is, how do we live together on this planet so that everybody has a share of the resources, has the possibility to survive and to flourish together? That is the big question. It has never been posed so clearly and urgently as it is now. That's what we have to find. I think I'm optimistic in that way, in a cautious way, as you said, just like you are, because you said, you quoted the big wisdom traditions, you quoted system sciences, quantum physics, and so on. All of this, yes, all of these are elements that if we put them together, if we look at what is happening, which direction this whole evolution is moving, then we can get many, many enlightened information on this from the sciences, from the wisdom traditions, from spirituality. I think it's all there. We have to seek it. We have to look for it. Because we are, just to repeat that, because I think to my mind, that is the important element, the paradigmatic element. We are natural beings. We're natural and social beings. We find in nature and in society the perfection, the norm, beyond the aberration that we have had for the last several hundred years in the Western world, where we were moving away from nature, maybe moving away from solidarity with each other. We were just competing and just putting ourselves first, never mind the others. That kind of a world gave us all the crises the situation that we had. We don't know whether they gave us the coronavirus as well, but it's very likely that our unnatural behavior on this planet provoked also the insertion of elements that are unhealthy here. We don't know. One day we'll find out. But at any rate, we have to live a more natural, better world. And that's the search for purpose, is the search for the norm, how to find a better way to live on this planet.
Stand in a comfortable position and place one hand on your heart, the other hand on your belly. Gently close your eyes and tune into your breath. Inhale, allow your crown to reach toward the sky. Exhale, eyes soften, jaw relaxes. Inhale, heart opens. Exhale, shoulders melt down. Inhale, belly rises. Exhale, soften your hip joints. Inhale, back awakens. Exhale, feet relax and ground down. Slowly open your eyes. Release your hands down. Shake out your hands. Give your shoulders a little bit of a wiggle. And shake your head side to side. Bend your legs. Inhale up. And exhale, release the arms down, letting your feet root into the earth. Inhale, the arms cross in front. Seeing the sun up in the sky, release down and change direction. Inhale up and exhale down. Gently let your right ear drop toward your right shoulder. Chin in, left ear to left shoulder. Stand tall. Left ear heavy. Chin in. Right ear heavy. Stand tall. Shoulders start to circle, opening up space in your shoulder joint. Start to circle your elbows. Slow inhale. Exhale. Release the arms down and continue with the arms. Feel your chest expand, open, and now close your arms. Hug yourself, and we're going to gently rotate from side to side and slowly grow tall. Gaze out over the horizon and slowly open the arms out and wrap your arms, looking over your right shoulder, opening the arms wide and twist. Coming back to center, visualize your feet rooting into the earth like the roots of a plant, reaching all the way down to the core of this planet. And visualize your crown growing up like the branches of a tree, letting your arms lift and grow, grounded down by the earth, lifted up by the sky. Let yourself gently sway from side to side, moving with the wind, opening up your side waist, tension releasing out of your shoulders. Let your spine be free. Relax your jaw and bend your right knee and reach the right arm up and circle the wrist and come down. Bend your left knee and reach the left arm up and circle the wrist. Right shoulder heavy, lean to the left. Angle your chin down and stretch into your neck. Lean to the right, left shoulder heavy. Deep breath in and exhale out, chin down. Slowly bring both arms up, drawing energy from the earth into your body and bringing it into your heart. Thank you.
Do you care to share any of your practical experience of what Diane so beautifully have described as this stepping into a new level of consciousness, and maybe also share with us what you see as the biggest fear standing in the way of actually moving up the spiral in consciousness, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. The first thing is like, I try to remind myself that there really isn't such a thing as business. Business doesn't really exist. It's just what we get up to every day. So business of itself is simply an expression of us. If we think that business is something other than us, that's when I think business can become a shadow for us, and where we give away, if you like, our wisdom to a Frankenstein that we then feel as if business is doing something to us. Whereas what we have to remember is actually, no, wait a minute, this is all down to us, and this is what we're about. In 2000, I created a bespoke consultancy called Success Intelligence. And the basic idea was that the challenges we face today don't require more effort, they require more wisdom. And that actually the definitions of success that are going to work in the future are going to be love-based definitions of success. And I made the point that actually, if your definition of success has little or no mention of love in it, then get another definition, because it's not going to work for you. It's only take you so far. So with that, and that was my marketing, essentially, really, then it was a question of people liking the message and saying, oh, would you give a talk on that? Would you do a workshop on this? Would you offer a leadership program on this? So first and foremost, I would just say that I think the groups that I have worked for are groups who were ready and willing and wanted to try something new. I do think in the journey, and I'll frame it within the journey of success for a moment. I think after a certain amount of success, what seems to happen is we hit a crisis of meaning. We hit a place where we go, well, is that it? And I think that's partly because of what Diane's just mentioned, which is that in the early days, normally success is about me and my life and what I'm about. And it takes us so far, but after a while, I think we may have the look of success, but we're not feeling it. And there is this feeling of a crisis of meaning. And so therefore we start to look for a more meaningful sense of success, a success with perhaps a greater sense of purpose, maybe less about ambition and more about purpose. And it's a success that becomes much more about all of us, or maybe more of us to begin with, and then eventually, hopefully, all of us. So a lot of the people that I've worked with and a lot of the organizations I've worked with are those organizations and those people who feel ripe and ready for a new adventure in the success journey. And we're moving in a way really from success to real success. That's the journey in a sense. And an expression of who we really are, not just about gain anymore, but more about some sort of creative cooperation and to see how far, this can go.
Hello, my name is Lynn Twist, and I'm the co-founder of the Pachamama Alliance, and also the founder of the Soul of Money Institute and the author of a book called The Soul of Money. And I'm honored to participate in Unity Week and this global event right now, right here, with all the people in the world who really care and know that it's our future to create. We're at the most pivotal time probably in human history, certainly in my lifetime. The future we create now will make all the difference to whether or not we even have a species going forward. And we're in, I think, the most challenging time personally too. What people are going through with the pandemic, what people are going through in my country with the incredible racial inequity and economic inequity. There's so much work to do. And I've discovered that one of the most powerful things you can do with the life you've been given is take a stand. Take a stand. And that's very related to purpose. And I want to make a distinction between something we all do every day, which is take a position, and taking a stand. And taking a position, the nature of taking a position, having a point of view that you fight for, is very, very important and part of our world. And at the same time, when we take a position, we often call up its opposition. Pro-choice calls up pro-life. Actually, here calls up there. Left calls up right. Up creates down. Positionality creates its opposition. And as important as that is, I have discovered something called taking a stand. And Archimedes said 2,000 years ago, take a stand and you'll move the world. You can and you do. When I really think about who moved the dial in history at critical moments, it's people who took a stand. They lived from their stand. It's not that they didn't take positions on issues, but when it came right down to it, Mahatma Gandhi was his stand for everyone everywhere having a healthy and productive life. Martin Luther King was his stand. And it comes from a spiritual place, a deep place. It's those people who take a stand that move the dial in history. And I invite all of us to take a stand with our life, to know that right now at the beginning of this 2020s, this particular decade, we're here at the very beginning of what will be the most significant decade in the history of humankind. And this first year, 2020, we've been given so much to handle, so much of an announcement of the challenges to come, that this is the beginning of really finding our 2020 vision for this next decade and making it through, knowing what we stand for, what we care about, why we're here at this special time in history. Each of us has a purpose to live, and I call that our stand. So it's my privilege and my opportunity to be part of this extraordinary event and hopefully inspire everybody to look and see what is it that you stand for that will make the biggest and most significant and most relevant and most timely contribution to the world we're living in right now and the world that we must bring forth, we must create. We call it at the Pachamama Alliance an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just human presence on this planet. And let me say something about the Purpose Fund, because I know that this Purpose Fund for the Earth is one of those galvanizing invitations to put our money where our vision is, to actually begin to move financial resources towards the highest good, knowing that you and I have the power to direct the flow of resources that come through our life and invest that, be vested in the world that we want. So I invite all of you to contribute to this extraordinary fund that will make things happen on the ground with people who are working collectively, people who have a strong and complete vision, and people who are at that point where money will make a very, very critical difference in getting them across the line. So join me and everybody on this broadcast. Find your stand, express it with all your heart, and make sure you make a contribution that really moves the dial. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susan Messer-McBride, and I'm a potter and teacher. I teach and make ceramics for everyday use. Clay comes from this earth, and I've always felt a strong connection to it. It provides me purpose and peace. Making is a soulful experience for me. So for that simple reason, I'm thrilled to be part of the Purpose Earth event. Thank you very much.
Hello, Purpose Earth people. I am so happy to be here with you today. My name is Cassandra Veaton, and I am the Executive Director of the John W. Brick Mental Health Foundation. I'm a Senior Fellow at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and I'm also a Scholar in Residence at the Arthur C. Clarke Center for Human Imagination at the University of California, San Diego. That's what I'm here to talk to you about today, is imagination. You know, in these times, it can feel like imagination is maybe a luxury or something that we can do or engage in once all the important stuff has been taken care of. Maybe we'll take a break and take a vacation and, you know, engage, have some time to engage in imagination. But I think that nothing could be further from the truth. Imagination is absolutely crucial. It's an essential human capacity. It's a skill, it's a practice. It's also the seed of almost every major human innovation that ever happened. And it's the starting point of every social progress movement. You know, someone has to, or a small group of people have to imagine a realistic alternative future that we can work towards, or imagine a pathway toward that future that hadn't been thought of before, or a way to implement that, you know, pathway that hadn't been thought of before. And so when I'm working with change agents around how to be more effective in their change-making strategies, in their advocacy and activism, I often talk about the rule of thirds, which means that when we care about something deeply, we can get caught in obsessing about the problem, talking about it at length, repeatedly, getting louder and louder about it, thinking people aren't listening because I haven't been clear enough or I haven't expanded on the problem enough. And it's very important to talk about the problem. You know, it's important to talk about what we won't stand for anymore and how we can do better. But it's just as important to talk about the solution. What are some pathways toward the thing that we want changed, toward the different future? You don't have to know all of the solution. You can know pieces of it. You can have a framework for it. You can share things that have worked in other settings. You can talk about vignettes. But focusing your attention just as much on the solution as you have on the problem makes your communication more effective. In addition to that, the last third is sharing your vision for an alternate reality or a better future. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. didn't say, we have a problem. He said, I have a dream. And so when we can share with as much emotion and passion as we do when we talk about the problem, the solution, and most importantly, our vision for the future, that is what enrolls people. That is what mobilizes action. It's what inspires making decisions toward that alternative future. I recommend that you do this in your communications with other people, but also inside your own mind. Problem, solution, vision. Make sure that you take some time every day to engage in the practice of imagination, envisioning what could be different, how could it be different, what would it look like. I hope you'll take the time to do that. I hope this has been helpful, and I appreciate the work that all of you are doing to make a better world for all of us. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on Purpose Earth. We hope you've had a great time. We know that we have. We're grateful to all those who are listening across the world and across the globe. We are a part of World Unity Week, which is bringing together an interfaith system and focusing on our connections instead of our differences, but also understanding that there are huge rifts between humanity right now that bear recognition, healing, and support from all sides. And we're so grateful that we have this pivot into the more participatory section of this event. And we're now going to actually hear Kululam, which is a participatory singing exercise that was created. And the creators were really trying to bring singers together so that they could all be of one unit. And when you look at Native American music, that is really how our ancestors worked. We were all hitting the same drum at once. We were all singing the same song together. It was a communal activity. It wasn't the American style of music where there's a celebrity and a stage and a pedestal and the artist is apart from the audience, but we were all the artist together. And so we're grateful that they're going to be sharing this now. They normally do this in huge auditoriums with huge concerts, but due to the coronavirus, they have created a digital version of this. And we invite you to sing along. If you'd like, it's, as you'll see in the video, it is the song by Coldplay, chosen a song that we thought a lot of people would know. And we're going to be putting the lyrics in the chat if you'd like to follow along. But please join us in not only singing this event, but also in the other participatory sections that follow. We'd like you to be a big part of this next part of the Purpose Earth event today, because this is where we all bring the audience in to be one with us and be participatory in the creative and artistic practice. Thank you.
Do you know the song Fix You by Coldplay? We're gonna sing it together in 3-part vocal harmony.
So please set your phone to record mode. I'll give you a few seconds and then we're gonna start together. Filming and recording ourselves. What do you guys say? How do you feel? Are you ready?
3, 2, 1, and clap.
succeed. When you get what you want, but not what you need. When you feel so tired, but you can't sleep. Stuck in reverse. Stuck in reverse. Stuck in reverse. Stuck in reverse. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones. I will try to fix you.
I feel blessed. I feel scared.
I'm only going to look at the positive things.
We can learn from this and make this world a little better.
I'm taking the opportunity to get to know myself and become a better person.
We will be better people. We will value more the simple things of life.
Everybody can make a difference.
We hope this passes soon.
We are unbeatable.
Can't wait for the day that I can hug my family again.
Stay strong.
May we never stop helping each other and being there for each other, even after this corona is over.
Things will get better.
Take good care.
We will see the light really soon. Amen for peace in the world.
Let's celebrate our humanity.
We're going to come out stronger and better.
We will get through this together.
We will get through this.
Nós conseguimos isso.
Podemos con esto.
حتما سنتعدى ذلك.
私たちにもできるよ。Let's do this, right?
Hi, I'm Leo Bierman, and I'm one of the co-authors of Purpose to the People, a handbook for radical transformation. I'm here to just give you a couple minutes of context and introduction to the manual that you have. So this manual was a collaboration back in late 2018 between the Brooklyn Center for Sacred Activism and the Global Purpose Movement. It was written by myself, Ryan Bell from the Global Purpose Movement, Chelsea Macmillan from Brooklyn Center for Sacred Activism. It was with some contribution from Manuel Kunzelman from GPM, and also design by Rachel Zargo. So this manual is and was originally designed for all the people out there who feel a strong call to do something about the state of the world, a strong call to act, but who don't quite know where to start. This manual is for you if you're one of those people. And another piece of it is if you're looking to act from a place of spiritual rootedness, namely if you want to figure out how to bring your spiritual practice and your self-development into your action and your service. So what you'll find in this manual is two main sections. The first section is theory and context, how to understand the times that we're living in and where something like this fits into the picture. The second part is all about action, how to actually go through the process of moving from, I don't know what I'm doing or where to start, to, okay, here's where I'm going. This is probably going to do something good. So what you'll see in this section is we provide a basic framework for a process that you can move yourself through. We have lots of questions, we have exercises to practice, and these are things you can do by yourself or in community. This is a first attempt. We wrote the whole thing in about 2 months, and it's designed to be a living document. So it's not comprehensive, but it provides a framework that should give you a fairly well-rounded approach to this question and should really get you started.
All right, so we're so grateful to hear from all of these beautiful speakers, musicians, dancers, artists, wisdom keepers, youth. It's been an extraordinary day. I'm so grateful to be your host. My name is Lila June. We are going to take some questions from the live chat. And one of the questions we got was, besides money, let's talk about what little old me can do today. And so the way I interpret that question is, yes, we're doing this purpose fund fundraiser today, and we're not just lifting spirits, but we're raising money today too. But someone's asking, aside from giving money, how can I help in this movement towards harmony, connection, justice, liberation, creation, interdependence, etc. And I think that, of course, I'm just the host, but I am grateful to take this time to interact with the audience a little more than I have in the rest of the program. But I think this is going to sound cliche, but I have once been told that the answer to every question is love. And that might sound cheesy, but I think love is always the answer. Now, what does that mean, though, today? I mean, it's hard to love today, right? People are being abused, mistreated. Dictators are springing up all across the planet. Our leaders are not being gentle with the people. They're not thinking outside of themselves. They're very blatantly trying to enrich themselves or other people who are their friends at the expense and the suffering of others. And so it is hard to love these days when you see atrocity after atrocity after atrocity being committed all around you. I've been having this issue because as a Native American woman, part of my community in New Mexico was trying to take down a statue of Juan de Oñate. And Juan de Oñate is known for committing a massacre where he killed over 800 Acoma Pueblo people in the year 1599, over 400 years ago, in the state of New Mexico. And we wanted to take this statue down because we didn't want to symbolize and glorify and center genocide and conquest in our state. And at this protest and at this event where the statue is being taken down, somebody shot one of our brothers, and he's recovering in the hospital right now. And so there's a lot of pain today. There's a lot of hardship. There's a lot of defending old paradigms that are obsolete and a lot of denial of history. And so it's been honestly quite hard for me to muster up compassion in this time. But when I look back and I think of all of our great leaders, they were the ones who loved in the face of hatred. And I'm not saying everyone should do this. I'm not saying it's easy. This is just my personal feeling and what I choose to do. But when we look at all the great leaders of the past, we think about those who had the audacity to love in the face of hatred and who had the audacity to love the world unconditionally. And so what embodying love today means to me is in your every interaction. How can you hold love for the person in front of you? Even if they are your enemy, even if they have harmed you and those that you love. That doesn't mean condoning their actions. That doesn't mean continuing the status quo. But it does mean having compassion for them in this time. I myself have done a lot of mistakes in my life. I'm grateful to be sober for 8 years, but wasn't always, and made many mistakes. And I'm grateful that my community and my creator forgave me and gave me a second chance to live in integrity and honesty and joy and service to those around me. And so I think that's what we're all being called to do now, is to forgive each other, which is incredibly challenging. And forgiving doesn't mean condoning. It simply means that in our process of bringing our vision to the world, we do it with love and humility, non-confrontationalism and honesty. So thank you all so much for being with us. And that's my little answer to our little question. And we're going to keep rolling with our show. We only got a few minutes left. So without further ado, we'll play the next video.
Whoa, more than man, more than man, more than man, more than man, more than man. If I had to paint a picture of the world I see, I will use vibrant colors, paint over every hatred. Oh, for high is the price we all will have to pay for generations' mistakes. Could it be this colorful world only believe in black and white? Or is it too late? Tell me what you're gonna do. You're living in public view. You're reading everybody's news. More than men. Tell me what you're gonna do. I know you got a million views. You're reading everybody's news. More than men. High on the tower of social media, nobody seems to care. Artificial intelligence and false messiahs rising to fill the spaces. Oh, for those who know I'm right, who know there comes a cost to learn. Could it be this colorful world only could see in black and white? Or we need more of the same? Tell me what you're gonna do. You're living in public view. You're reading everybody's news. More than men. Tell me what you're gonna do. I know you got a million views. You're reading everybody's news. More than men. More than woman too. 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 Oh, what you gonna do? You're living in public view. You're reading everybody's news. More than men. What you gonna do? You're living in public view. Whoa, more than men. Yeah. More than men. Whoa, more than men.
My vision for the future is simple: a world free of hate. A world where everybody can live peacefully despite having different color, different race, different religion. A world where we can all live together peacefully, where we are all helping each other to make this place a better place to live in. I know that this pandemic had divided us in so many ways. But in the future, what I visualize is a place united, people united, a wonderful world where we can all live together.
I want to create a positive change because I want everyone to be treated equally with kindness and respect. The world we live in, we are compared with each other every day. But we forget that everyone is different. Everyone has different needs and priorities. And I believe everyone deserves their own chance to live their life and to fulfill their dreams. And to do that, we have to work together as one and respect each other. And we have to try every day to make the world a better place for everyone so that we can all live in harmony and peace.
Join me in my vision for the future. I see restoration, healing, harmony, solidarity, unity, hope, togetherness, and love. I dream of global healing. I envision that peace will touch the hearts of people all over the world. My hope is that through these uncertain times, we will all find a quiet, still voice and find great comfort in the little things that are far too often taken for granted. May we be better neighbors to one another, remembering to lend a helping hand to those in great need. All it takes is one person to bring about much needed change. And that person is you.
Well, that was the launch of the Purpose Earth Fund. What an amazing almost 3 hours it's been, this convergence of science and spirituality with music and arts and all this passion. And really the message that we take away that we inhabit a universe that is alive with purpose, that is alive with meaning and with significance, and that our lives matter, not just to ourselves and those we love in our community, but to the whole planetary community. And the launch of this fund is such a significant moment as we think about the vision of Emmanuel Kunzelmann, who's been carrying this dream of really being able to support entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, change makers at every different station and every different walk of life, but with one thing in common. And the one thing that they share is that they are alive, on fire, with purpose. They have a passion, they have a dream. And the emergence of this fund to support those groups, those individuals, like we've seen Re-Earth and so many other wonderful recipients of the Purpose Earth Fund, which includes Unity Earth. And to see now how that can be used to magnify a millionfold by supporting those that have got that dream in their heart and that God-given purpose in their life, by nurturing them and by supporting them and encouraging them, not just with funds, but with mentorship and training and connection and networking to really let that grow and blossom into something great. May the Purpose Earth Fund be blessed. May it be a blessing upon countless numbers of our family around the world from now and for many, many, many years to come. Thank you, everybody. There's a lot to celebrate. Gratitude to everyone involved in this show. And looking forward to seeing you down the road. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Ben. It's always a joy to hear your voice, and it's been a pleasure to work with you over the years. This is Purpose Earth, and I'm your host, Lila June, just saying some closing remarks. What a beautiful day it was. We want to thank all of the artists. We want to thank all of the people and the producers and the organizers who put this together. And most importantly, we want to thank all of you for your attention, for your kindness, for your participation. And we hope you enjoyed this and will bring this out into the world, because we really not only want to have a visual buffet of beautiful art, but we also want to have a tangible impact on our world and be in service in this time, as Creator is calling all of us to be warriors right now. Not warriors with weapons that are physical, but warriors with weapons that are emotional, spiritual, intellectual, weapons of love, faith, and compassion, and truth. And we're so grateful that you have joined us today, and we hope that you will stay connected to us as we continue to be these warriors of love. And one of the ways you can stay connected with us is go to purposeearth.org. It is being put in the chat of all of the various platforms we are streaming out to. And this is where you can give us your contact information and remain connected to us. We're also so grateful to those who are working hard in this time, healthcare workers, grocery store workers, all of the frontline first responders. Thank you for all that you do. We want to give a shout out also to the organizers of the Black Lives Matter movement, which we are in the thick of right now, and they have been fighting for hundreds of years. And we say that we stand behind you in this ongoing quest for freedom and liberation and justice. Most of all, we're just so grateful that we could come together and offer this to you all as a little bit of solace and a little bit of unity, a little bit of motivation to ignite that purpose in our hearts and to remind us why we're here. And to also not to forget to rest. We need rest in this time, and rest is becoming more and more of a radical act in a capitalistic world that centers productivity. So we're grateful for you to rest with us, to enjoy yourself, to take care of yourselves with us. And thank you all so much for allowing me to weave this program together. Thanks to Rhiannon, the creative director, and thanks to all of you for joining us on this special day. And now we have Global Coherence Pulse coming on after us, which is also a production of World Unity Week. They do some incredible scientific weaving of human pulses and global interconnectedness. They're a scientific organization doing some very, very interesting research. So if you want to stay on after us, that's who's coming up next. And thanks to all of those who are participating in World Unity Week. And remember that unity is much more possible when all humans and all life forms are being taken care of with love, respect, equity, justice, kindness, and I'll say it again, love. So thank you all for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon.